There's another category of excuses to contact people. It's almost an infinite supply of reasons that you could legitimately contact your list. Anytime you're contacting your list, you want it to be for a reason. You don't just want to randomly email them for no reason. So these are reasons. Maybe that's a better word than excuses, but I've already called it excuses, so I'm sticking with that. These are actually reasons to contact your list. And these are legitimate reasons that they will understand are real reasons too. They won't look at it as an excuse. These are kind of like relationship building at the same time, because you're checking in with your prospect, gives you the appearance of being interested in them and wanting them to succeed. And of course you do, because if they succeed, they're going to buy more of your course, right? So your goal really is to make them succeed. Don't just think that you're just trying to sell a course. You're trying to provide value, and you're actually trying to educate the people in your niche. Now, in one sense, if you have a lousy product, it could be good if they bought the product and never used it, because then they won't realize that your product is horrible, right? But if you have a fairly decent product, or if not a good product, you want people to use that product so they get the benefit, so that when you create another product, they realize, yes, if I give this guy money, I'm going to get a benefit. Or if I give this girl some money, I'm going to get tremendous benefits. So you really want them to consume the product. You want them to take the course. You want them to get all the goals and benefits. You want to try to help them out, maybe propose some reasons as to why they're not achieving what they're trying to achieve with your product. So one of these email excuses, reasons, whatever you want to call it, this should be built into your back-end customer sequence, but it's also, you can do the same kind of thing for your prospects, because they should be doing something with the free stuff that you've given them. And the first thing is a progress check. So you send an email and you say, I just wanted to check on your progress, and you can encode the autoresponder sequence. So you could send something 30 days after they came to the site. You could send something 60 days later, 90 days after they came to the site. So the first email you could send out for this progress check is something like this. Hi, John, and you can personalize it with their first name. You can say, hi, John, or whatever their first name is. I noticed that you haven't been to my site for a month, or that you first came to my site 1 month ago, 30 days ago, however you set up the autoresponder sequence. It's a piece of cake to do in the autoresponder. I noticed that you came to my site 30 days ago. For the typical person who comes to my site, within 30 days, this is the kind of benefits that they could be achieving if they were following these tips and suggestions that we offer at our site. And I just wanted to check in with you to make sure that you were achieving those benefits. Now, if you're not achieving those benefits, here's something that you can go read or something that you can go do to get you back on track, because I really care about you and I want you to have just as much of a success as everyone else at this website. Do you see the flow and the kind of the concept that I'm getting at here? You check in with their progress, but you ask them how their progress is, but then you give them a progress that they're probably not reaching. You want to make it like a little bit of a hard progress for 30 days. In other words, if they were really active and really excited and really serious, that's how much progress they would have at the 30 days. This does something to them too. In their minds, they're thinking about, wow, 30 days ago I came to this site, I could already be where I want to be. I could already have the benefits that I wanted to have, and I've just kind of procrastinated. And then you offer them an opportunity to make it right, to get back on track, to get the results even faster. Maybe you could write a special plan saying, 30 days ago you came to the site, you could be here now. Well, read this and you could be there in the next 10 days. And give them like a 10-day ramp up, speed up plan to get where they could have been, but they lost out for 30 days. You have the progress check, but you build into it, here's how to, you really want them to kind of in their mind be thinking that they haven't made progress. And then you tell them how they can make the progress. And obviously going to your site, maybe buying your course, all that kind of stuff is part of how they're going to attain this progress. Another thing that's on the same lines, it's similar, is suggested milestones. So if they bought the course, have an email that goes out 3 days later saying, by now you should have read chapter 1. If you haven't already read chapter 1, go read it now. And here's the kind of stuff that you should have learned from chapter 1. You can even have automatic quizzes going out, and you could send an email out on day 5 saying, well, 2 days ago I told you to read chapter 1. I hope you've read it because I really want you to get the benefits. Here's a pop quiz. And you can have a little pop quiz. And you can tell them, If you haven't already read chapter 1, read it, because tomorrow I'm going to send you the answers to the pop quiz. This is getting people interested. It's also giving you the credibility that you care. It's awesome. But it's also causing people to consume your product to get the benefits. So if you have 10 chapters in your book, you could have like a 60-day sequence that causes people to keep going back to the ebook that they bought or the course that they bought, and to go through it and to get the results that you know that they should get and could get and will get if they just implement it. People forget, it's a known fact that most people who buy a book at a bookstore, like a traditional book, they don't even get through the first chapter, let alone the whole book. I don't even know what the exact statistic is, but it's something like 90% of people who buy books never get past the first chapter. Well, the same is true for ebooks and courses that they buy online. They buy it, they get all excited, but then life steps in and they forget about it. Well, you can remind them through email. And if you have this type of a sequence, actually put that in your sales copy that you're going to check in with them with an automatic follow-up sequence. You don't have to call it an automatic follow-up sequence, but you can tell them that you're going to check in on their progress and you're going to make sure that they get these results, because you're going to keep reminding them. You can tell them that you're going to remind them and you're going to guide them through each milestone. Now, take this concept and adapt it to your niche market, because I'm not sure what kind of site it is. If it's a gardening site, the milestones would have to do with growing tomatoes, planting seeds, watering them, and checking in on them. If it was some kind of a weight loss site, there's all kinds of milestones, keeping journals and stuff like that. If it was some kind of a making money type of opportunity, well, there's a bunch of steps that they need to do to start making the money, or to set up their business and then make sure they're doing it every step of the way. So you can actually advertise this on your website as coaching. You're actually going to do email coaching. And the email coaching could be automatic follow-up autoresponders. Another thing, I've just thrown it in this category, although this really applies to every one of these categories, is to share an interesting story. You can email your list just to share an interesting story or an interesting thought. I've done this before with some of my lists, and maybe you've gotten one of these emails actually, where I just sent out an email saying, I was at the beach the other day, and the wave came by and the bird flew by, and I had this thought and I just wanted to share it with you. If it's interesting and it applies to your niche, share it with them. You don't have to build a whole product to get an idea out. If you could share a beneficial idea or a new way of thinking, just share it with them. And that's all you have to do. You send an email out, that's free content. Share an interesting story, but sometimes the punchline or the lesson learned of the story is something that has to do with your product, and then ultimately it has to do with buying your product. So sharing interesting stories is another powerful excuse to email your list, to give them free content, but also the progress check and the suggested milestones. That's a great way to keep in contact with your customers. Now, I just want to mention this for the record so that you know. You can also do it for your prospects and your customers. The sequence, the progress check for the prospects is basically, you see how the progress is going, you hope it's going good, but if it's not, here's the solution. And the solution basically causes them to buy the course. But for your course students, you want to give them milestones, and it could be milestones for the prospects, but milestones for the students as well. Different sequences, but use your imagination and try to build that in, because this really shows that you're trying to be helpful, you're going above and beyond what everyone else is doing, and you're trying to ensure that they get the results. And to a lot of people, that's more valuable than the course itself, the fact that you have a plan for them to implement and get the benefits. You're not just selling them a course and walking away and leaving them alone forever. You're constantly in contact with them, and you're teaching them even more about how to implement it. So if you can get people to implement what you're teaching, that's way better than just getting them to buy a course and do nothing and sit on it.